On December 17th, 2021, I released the Beginner's Guide to Aki Rosenthal, a VTuber I consider to be amongst my favorite Holo members. Since then, the guide has become probably one of my most outdated ones, simply because of how much Aki has done since then and the unexpected path that she took. To this day, I still maintain that Aki Rose is one of the most underrated Hololive members, and so I wish to tell you a tale of the trail treaded upon by this talented sweet belly dancing elf. For the most part, Aki Rose was in my eyes a VTuber that interacted with others less compared to other Holo members. Of course, she had plenty of interactions and collabs, but less in number from what I could observe. Obvious exceptions would be when it came to games that she shared an interest with others, like Ark. If you know about Aki Rosenthal, then you know about the legendary Mookie Rose, the perfect man who offers guidance and assistance to all those in need, punisher of evildoers and war criminal rabbits alike. Ark was a game that truly allowed Aki Rose's personality to be exposed to others, and it would be Ark to yet again be the catalyst for the beginning of our story. On September 30th, 2023, the VCR Ark event had been announced. Now, I'm going to assume that the majority of the viewers watching are not familiar with the JP VTuber scene. VCR events are these massive streamer collab events that include VTubers and streamers from all over the JP scene, from indies to Hololive members, Holostars, Nijisanji, Vispo, Nanashi Inc., Neoporte, and so on. The events are hosted by two organizations, Crazy Raccoon, which is an esports org, and Vault Room, which is like a clothing store that involves itself with gaming and streamers. With the upcoming VCR being centered on Ark, and seeing how Aki Rose loves Ark, Aki Rose's manager suggested that she participated. Aki Rose was hesitant at first, afraid that due to her being a Hololive member, the idol barrier would cause others to treat her differently, or that maybe her interactions would bring trouble to others. But still, Aki Rose took the opportunity, and shortly after, she was invited to join the event. Really, it didn't take long until Aki Rose began interacting with the others in the server. She was helped by Nishisanji's Lauren Iroas when she was dying of thirst, and was quickly recruited by streamer Mazasri to join Raijin's company. Aki Rose's integration into the group was swift and natural, and it resulted in her delivering naked skins to everyone. So you had an entire group of people running around with Mosaic. It was beautiful. Of course, due to Aki Rose's great expertise and experience with Ark, she became a figure others could rely on, and she provided a lot of support, always willing to teach and guide those in need, similarly to how she always does in Hololive Ark events. Needless to say, she was recognized as one of the strongest players in the server. And combined with her sweet, sociable and kind personality, people enjoy their presence. She was just very easy to get along with. As a result, she became buddies with a lot of people she met during this event, like Vispo's Yakumo Benny and the previously mentioned Mazasri. She may have been worried at the start, since she didn't know 99% of the event's participants, only knowing fellow Hololive members like Fubuki and Choco. But everyone was so kind to Aki all throughout the event that she ended up having a lot of fun. I mean, she even did a 16-hour stream session on day 2, followed by 2 hours of sleep, and then another 11-hour stream on day 3. That's how much she was enjoying herself. It was also here that Aki Rose revealed to wanting to try FPS games, seeing as so many of VCR's participants were FPS players. However, she was also very hesitant to do so, worrying that FPS games might be a bit too much for her. She was reassured and encouraged to try FPS by Zeta Division member Clutchfire. On October 31st, 20 days after the VCR Ark had ended, Aki Rose reflected back on it. She was grateful to everyone she met and even got emotional. You know, in Portuguese we have a word called saudade, which describes a melancholic feeling of longing, loss and nostalgia. And I believe it is quite appropriate to say that Aki Rose was feeling saudade for her time in VCR. Those fun days were now in the past. The future was uncertain. Would she be able to have fun with all those people ever again? VCR Ark would forever become a fond memory, tenderly stored away in the depths of Aki's heart. It was also around this time that Chikumaru was formed, the collab name for Aki Rosenthal, Yuzuki Choco, Yakumo Benny, and Honma Himawari. This too was a result of the bonds forged in VCR Ark. However, VCR Ark was only the beginning of Aki Rose's journey. December 10th, 2023, the very beloved VCR GTA 2 would begin, and seeing how she enjoyed the previous VCR event so much, this new event would present an opportunity for Aki to have fun with everyone again, and this one would become one of her most pivotal events going forward. What started with Aki Rose as a humble taxi driver quickly turned into her forming her very own gang. Yes, you heard me right. Aki Rose was the leader of a gang, the very beloved Neo Police. Let me present you its amazing roster. Shibuya Hall, founder and owner of Neoporte. Shirayuki Rei, a founding member of Neoporte. Shusetsu Kohaku from V. Hinokumaran, at the time a member of Nanashi Inc. Ex-Albio from Nishisanji, Neko Tatsuna from V-Spo, and the streamers Mazasri, Akagami no Tomo, and Totomix. This was a truly varied roster, with only 2 members sharing the same affiliation. Many of these members were not originally planning to stay in the group for long, but they ended up having so much fun that they ended up staying permanently. Notably, Shibuya Hall wanted to become a mercenary who didn't pledge any allegiances, but ended up being won over by the sheer enjoyment he was having with Aki's gang. Contrary to VCR Ark, in VCR GTA, Aki Rose was the least experienced member of the group, very unaccustomed to GTA. But in spite of that, her gang members were extremely loyal and devoted to Aki. Like, for real, you would not find more devoted underlings than those of Neo Police, with even Akami Karubi, herself a gang leader, shocked at how different her own underlings treated her.
ボスなんすか？
あ、ボスっす。
こっちのボスしかいないだろ。ボスおかえ
ただいま。
ここに誰がいるんだ？
出会っちまったよ。
あ、カルビちゃん
カルビがボスなの？
そうだよ。
まあでもこっちのボスはもう迎えにもう全部隊で来るけどね。そうだね。
ボスお疲れ様です。いるな。ボスお疲れ様です。
ボスお疲れ様です。
これエモート検索でスパイダーで引っかかる。
スパイダーマン。成功だね。成功しました。
ボスお疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。
ナイスギャルよ。
Yes, it is true Aki was the weakest member of Neo Police, but she was undeniably a great leader, one with the charisma to make you want to do your best for her. Aki Rose cared for her gang members, becoming the one to connect them all, keeping the group together with a warm sense of belonging and homeliness. She was a matriarch with an overwhelming charisma that effortlessly attracted people to her side. And hers was a gang where everyone was just having a blast, one that became both rich in money as well as laughs. Seriously, there were so many Aki-pon moments, but they always laughed it off. Closer to the end, the Neo Police members surprised Aki Rose with a gift. One of the most expensive cars in the server, as well as a short-lived helicopter that, well, see for yourself.
ボス運転お願いします。待ってボス
Welcome to the Neo Police experience.
出せるオッケー。うわー。マジで運転うまい。
すぐヘリコプター。調子乗るから。
調子乗るから。
調子乗るから。褒めた瞬間これ。
In the end, Aki Rose had a one-on-one drive with each member of Neo Police, where they had a heartfelt talk and reminisced on the event. Shirayuki Rei even said that if it weren't for Aki Rose, he would likely not have gotten too involved in the event. And ex-Alvio even shed some tears, saddened that the event had come to an end. Ah, there's that saudade once again. On a side note, in her one-on-one talk with Shibuya Hall, Aki Rose once again mentioned being interested in trying FPS games. Please take note of this, because it would become relevant in the future. Neo Police wasn't just a GTA gang anymore. It had become a very cherished friend group amongst all its members. The bonds forged in this event would last beyond VCR GTA, and from this moment onwards, Aki Rose would begin to collab frequently with them. Neo Police. The friend group with Aki Rose right at its center, the one to connect them all. She was the one and only boss, and they would continue to call her boss to this day. And as the cherry on top, it is worth mentioning that Aki Rose became the second most watched female streamer right after Pekora in the last quarter of 2023. I'm really serious when I say that Neopolis was that fun of a time, and it got a lot of people to start noticing how amazing Aki Rose is. Neopolis is one of those reasons why so many look fondly back on VCR GTA 2, together with other groups like Aruran's Pizza Family. The year of 2024 would be quite eventful for Aki Rosenthal, and it would be one defined by the undertaking of new challenges and many frequent collabs. It would be a year of even more new meetings, for indeed, from this point onwards, it was very common to see Aki Rose collab with other people in general, and playing many different kinds of games. She finally got around trying FPS games with her friends, played a bit of Valorant, Apex, Tarkov, and initially, Aki Rose undertook a Minecraft hardcore challenge together with the members of the Raijin company from VCR Ark, and then later also did it with Neopolis. And then, surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly keeping in mind everything I've established so far, Aki Rose participated in the Kasen Tournament 9, a League of Legends competition, aiming to introduce the game to beginners. Yes, Aki Rose playing League. That certainly wasn't on my bingo card, let me tell you. The two teams were coached over the course of 2 days and then competed in one decisive best-of-3 competition. Aki Rose was given the ADC role and played Miss Fortune, and their team would end up being victorious. But wait, we're not done with League just yet, for there was yet another tournament. This time, it was the Kasen Tournament 10, and this one would be an all-stars competition, featuring the many participants of the past Kasen tournaments. Naturally, this meant Aki Rose was back, even though barely a week had passed. But in the few days between these two tournaments, Aki Rose had actually done quite a few League streams herself, and she ended up trying different roles. In the end, she gravitated towards the mid lane and ended up going all in with maining Swain for the decisive tournament day. Afterwards, Asumi Sena praised and thanked Aki for all her hard work as a beginner, which would cause Aki to get emotional. Even in this short tournament, bonds were being created. The League of Legends now behind her, there would be many more competitions Aki got into. On March 29th, she teamed up with fellow Neopolis members Shusetsu Kohaku and ex-Albio for the Nekosaba Apex custom. Aki's teammates were very strong, especially Kohaku, who is an Apex predator with insane movement skills. But as you would expect, it was difficult for a beginner like Aki to keep up with hardened veterans. Moreover, the competition was pretty tough as well, and in the end, Aki Rose's team would end up in 18th out of 20. It was not yet time for Apex Ark to truly begin. Next, Aki Rose decided to get into Street Fighter 6, which is a game that has been very popular in the JP scene. Honestly, I would be surprised to see Aki playing Street Fighter if I wasn't already surprised with her having played League. Aki's main would be Guile, and she would soon compete in her very first Street Fighter 6 tournament, the Shishiro Cup, hosted by the one and only Shishiro Botan. On a side note, I know that Botan was nominated for the FPS VTuber of the Year in 2024, but in reality, she barely played FPS that year. Botan's content in 2024 was defined and dominated by Street Fighter 6. Honestly, it's deserving of a video all on its own. Now, the Shishiro Cup was split into two parts. Part 1 was for participants below Platinum, and this is where Aki Rose would compete. She would be defeated in round 1 by Nishisanji's Hyakuman Salome, knocking her into the loser's bracket. There was still hope for her yet, and she went on to claim victory against Mashiro Futon. It's just really nice to see Toa, Aruran, and Dito cheer for her in this match.
おすごいよ、アキ先輩、頑張れ頑張れ。うわー、
やばい、これいい勝負だな、マジ
マジ？頑張ってね。
いやー、これは姉さんうまいよ。
引きながらの
これは姉さん全然余裕で落ち着いて落ち着いて。うまい。
However, in the next match, Aki would be defeated for good by Urisaki Moshu. Now, we're going to interrupt Street Fighter because next comes the VCR Rust 2. Obviously, Aki Rose wanted to participate yet again, and Kohaku invited Aki to join her group. There were some bumps along their way during this event when it came to their goals, but in the end, it all turned out well. Honestly, VCR Rust 2 was more of a character arc for Kohaku than it was for Aki, and in the end, her entire group gathered for a big surprise message, which left Kohaku speechless and emotional, which is extremely rare, by the way.
この1週間ぐらいありがとうありがとうみんなありがとう
ね、母ちゃん。
ありがとう
ありがとう
なんか謎のステップ踏んでんだよ。
She was so flustered, it was adorable. Kohaku love. With the end of VCR Rust 2, we resume our regularly scheduled Street Fighter. On May 12th, Aki would participate in the Street Fighter 6 Crazy Raccoon Cup. Aki was part of Team Maonoko, but in spite of her best efforts, she would lose every one of her matches. This left Aki Rose very frustrated with her performance, but this too was a natural thing for one to experience when journeying into the world of competitive games. Depending on how she took this loss, it presented an opportunity for growth, and indeed, this outcome would only motivate Aki to practice harder. On May 31st, Aki Rose would finally hit gold rank after achieving a 10-win streak, proving that her hard work was indeed paying off. This is what I love about competition. The hard work, the will to improve. And indeed, while Aki may not be the fastest or most efficient learner, she is extremely determined, something you can notice from the very beginning where she competed in the Kassen tournament. She goes at her own pace, but she will make it. And this hard work is something that other VTubers have noticed and praised along her path, just like Asumi Sena had done. On June 12th, she would participate in the Street Fighter 6 Rika Cup, this one hosted by her Holostars co-worker Rika. However, on the previous day, just before the scrims had started, Aki Rose, who got into the habit of playing ranked during downtime, managed to hit Platinum rank, which came by as a random surprise to her team.
今さっきプラチナに上がりました。
おめでとう。すごい。
やった。いや、ムッキーすごいよ。
すごいよ。
ガエルキー育ってきたよ。握手しよう。握手。
In this tournament, the fruits of her labor were shown, and she put on a great show together with her opponent Kogara Toto from VSpol. Aki and Toto had been teammates in the past, and now they faced off against each other, a rivalry between two sweet and soothing VTubers. Aki Rose would win 2 rounds out of 3, making her victorious. Even still, I have to applaud Toto for her performance as well. If you know about VSpol, then you'll know how strong every single one of their members are at competitive games. And Toto is no different, which in my eyes only makes Aki Rose's victory all the more impressive. Sadly, in the next match, Aki would be defeated by Dito. Both players fought valiantly, and Aki's improvement was noticeable. And now for the moment some of you were probably waiting for. Remember when I said Aki Rose told Shibuya Hall she wanted to try FPS games, leading to Aki experimenting some FPS games along the way with her friends? Well, Shibuya Hall had been noticing how hard Aki had been trying in the many competitions throughout the year, and so he took a decision that would shock everyone. On July 2nd, Aki Rose revealed her invitation to participate in the Apex Legends VSaikyo Season 6. This was insane. Let me give you some context. As I explained in my video dedicated to Minato Aqua, the Apex VSaikyo, or VTuber Most Cooperative Tournament, is a very intense competition where Shibuya Hall invites several VTubers to become team captains, and then they themselves will invite other VTubers to join their squads. This is likely one of the most intense and hyped collab events in all of the VTuber sphere every time it happens. The teams are balanced around a point evaluation system, usually based on rank, although master rank VTubers and above have their point values judged by Shibuya Hall himself based on their skill. If you remember, back in the 4th Apex VSaikyo, Shibuya Hall was very undecided whether to evaluate Minato Aqua as a 9 points, 10 points or 11 points player. But he ended up going with 10 points, considering her mechanical skill, but also her lack of experience in the tournament environment. Now, back in the 4th VSaikyo, the point limit for every team was 18. But for Season 6, the point limit had been raised to 23 points. This would mean teams had far more flexibility and could afford to include stronger players, and as you'd expect, it resulted in Season 6 being the most stacked season with how many monsters were included in its roster. We've never seen so many Apex Predators in a VSaikyo before, and this is the tournament that Aki was dropped into. Like a tiny fish in shark-infested waters. However, Shibuya Hall believed in Aki. She had proven herself up until now, willing to go out of her comfort zone, trying new things and giving it her all with the utmost determination. And so Shibuya Hall gave her this opportunity. Fortunately, since Aki Rose was only a rookie rank player, she was only worth 3 points, as gold rank and below are all worth 3 points. This meant Aki had complete freedom to invite absolute monsters into her team, Unfortunately for her, many of her friends and people she'd met so far had all been invited too, either as team captain themselves or invited already to other teams. Kohaku was a team captain, Albion and Kotatsuna were part of the same team, Lauren Iroas had his own team, Toa was also a team captain, Matsuri was also a team captain, Shirayuki Raid was also a team captain. Yeah, her options were certainly limited. And Shibuya Hall, recognizing this, offered to assist Akirose in searching for strong teammates if she couldn't find any. However, Akirose would soon reveal on stream that one person had reached out wanting to join her, and this person was probably the best person she could ever choose. The perfect member she needed, a reaper of the battlefield who could lead the charge and topple any challengers, a true god of war among the mightiest FPS VTubers you could ever think of. I am talking about none other than Ditto. I am not exaggerating here, these may as well be the contender for the strongest participant ever in the history of the Apex VSaikyo, perhaps stronger even than the hardened veteran Virtual Gorilla himself. For several years, due to her overwhelming strength, she was banned from participating, but with a point evaluation allowing for stronger participants, she would have her opportunity to step into the VSaikyo battlefield for the first time. Yeah, first time definitely. She's totally not a former VSaikyo champion, guys. Ugh, I just felt a sudden chill. Why is it so cold suddenly? Ditto was obviously given the maximum point value of 11 points, fitting for an Apex Predator of her caliber, one who is borderline semi-pro. With this choice alone, hope for Akirose's team was instantly ignited, like a ray of sunshine amidst the cold and forgiving winter. Ditto was precisely the kind of VTuber Aki needed in her team, and you'd have a hard time finding someone better than her.
そいつだけ
勝ったナイス強いナイスリットちゃんのタイマーへの安心感やばいごめん 1v1 も負けないです
ごめんけど
1v1 も負けない
Of course, that was not the only reason why Aki chose Ditto. It was personal. You see, Aki had met Ditto before in her many collabs and competitions, having talked to her first back in the VCR Ark, but she never actually got an opportunity to be on the same team properly, with them even having met rather as opponents. So this was the perfect opportunity for the two to finally be able to fight besides one another. And finally, Akirose reached out to the one who would be her final squad mate. Utai Meika, an experienced competitor in his own right, a master ranked player who could round out any team in any way needed, acting as a sub IGL for Ditto. Meika was hesitant at first that he would be of any use, but Akirose believed he'd be a perfect fit, as he additionally had the personality and ability to pull the team together and fill them with good cheer. Zaki even said Meika would keep the atmosphere bright no matter what happened. Together with her comrades, Ditto and Utai Meika, Akirose would ride into hell, battling the many demons of VSaikyo Season 6. It is worth mentioning, however, that she also received a lot of help from other people, even before getting her team. Alvio and Yakumo Benny, for example, played Apex with Akirose a lot to help her practice and get her used to playing as a team. She was an absolute beginner, so she needed everything she could get until the fated days. She was recommended to play on controller, as that would allow her to be more effective in fights due to aim assist, a decision that Kohaku actually protested, believing that Aki could do it with mouse and keyboard. And later, Akirose's coach Mukai actually suggested for Aki to switch to mouse and keyboard. And guess what? Turns out all that Ark experience she had made it so that she was actually more effective with a mouse and keyboard. Her mouse sensitivity was crazy high too. Needless to say, since Aki was not strong at all, this affected the team's strategy. They were playing to win after all. What use would there be in just heading into a battle they'd be at a disadvantage in? And so, Akirose's team, Predator to Issho, would adopt a defensive strategy, which involved in securing the best ring positions early on. And they were quite effective in it. They were probably the most proactive team in securing the late game ring positions, always moving swiftly and taking an advantageous position. Then all they needed to do was defend it. Akirose was practically glued to Ditto, always listening to her commands. Akirose's character also supported his defensive playstyle. Watson, a defensive character that would allow for Akirose to be useful to the team regardless of her team fighting ability. Watson provided the team with area control via her electric fences, and her pylon would further bolster the team's defenses by protecting them from grenades and charging their shields over time. Thanks to this strategy, Predator to Issho was actually doing better than expected. Of course, even amidst all the sweating, there were classic moments of pawn comedy.
必殺デドルドゥ腕組みスレッシュ
いけー
追い払った、俺の圧で。
追い払った。
はい、ここ固める。やべ。
ここみんな待ったよ。
いってごめん、中入れる。あ、秋田ぜ帰ってきなさい。
And anytime Kohaku and Dito met on the battlefield, they were always at each other's throats. Side note, the rivalry/friendship between Dito and Kohaku has to be one of my absolute favorites in the whole VTuber sphere. Two apex predators that are constantly trying to mess with each other. This team was getting better and better, but the same could also be said about the other teams. Unfortunately, as things were going, it simply was not enough to win. Therefore, for the 5th day of the official tournament scrims, Predata Toisho's coach suggested a change of the approach. Up until now, Dito had been the IGL of the team, an obvious choice since she was the strongest and most knowledgeable team member. However, it was also true that Dito focusing on leading the team caused their fighting performance to decrease, an effect similarly observed in other great players like Astaleda. So Mukai suggested that for the 5th day, Utai Meika would take upon the role of IGL, freeing Dito to simply focusing on wreaking havoc. And, well, about that.
アキさん、右行かないと。これ右から潰そう。
右から潰す。オッケー。
これパ
足が終わったよ。倒した。ここ上2人。
2人頑張れ、ディズちゃん。頑張れ。惜しい、ナイス。
ね、NCS めっちゃいっぱいキル取れたよ。あ、いいよ。いっぱいキル取れた。
うわー、ギリ3位か。くそー。
3位か。でもよかった。いやでも一番今まででいい形だった。ダブハン取れそうだね。
ダブハン取れそうだった。
やばい。
やっぱ俺は鎖で繋いでいたんだ。解き放つべきだったんだ、この化け物を。
自由で動けんの最高だ。
メイカちゃん、
はい。
まだ解き放ってないね。
まだ足りん。
昨日解き放ったけど、まだちょっと足りないね。でも
まだいける？
解き放ってはいるんだけど、まだちょっと残ってる。
これ右から。あ、これ左やろう。これ。いや、頼む。あと2人。番号割れてる。番号50。これまずこっち。あと1人。こいつラスト。
オッケー。
ゆっくり。
ナイス。
いやレースじゃん、チーム。総合1もらって帰ろうや、今日は。
Dito just about destroyed the competition, truly living up to her reputation, a reaper through and through. The kill switch in her brain was activated, and she proceeded to claim both the highest kill count and highest damage dealt for the entire day, pretty much double the amount from second place. And together with Meika's competent and effective IGLing, Predata Toisho even won the second match, while also securing pretty high placements all around.
1800ダメージ
バカ強くて草。うわ、これいけんじゃね？おい、いける。うわバカか。
リストちゃん
頑張れ。うわやばい。うわ、ディットや。
お、マジ？
アキさんだ。アキさん。
うわー、これは
やばい、泣いちゃうかもしれない。
おめでとう。メーカーやるやん。
よかったアキさん。
すごいね。
アキさんがルーキーなんですよ。もうしかももうすごい、もう最初赤ちゃんみたいな歩行してたとこから今なんでやばいですね。やばい。アキさん。よかった。アキさんはもう FPS も自体初心者だからもう毎日めっちゃ練習してるんでは、それはもう嬉しいだろうな。
Indeed, Predata Toisho managed to do what was thought to be impossible.
お、俺が。
1位だ。
ポイント3。いや、アキロズの2キルが効いた。やったー。ナイス。いや、今日いける気したんよ俺。
いや、いいよ。今日いけると思ってるわ。
いや、マジ最高だわ。
The day had been won. Predata Toisho had officially been the winner of the day 5 of the tournament scrims. Aki Rose's team stood above all. A shocking outcome which only proved how wild of a tournament VSaikyo Season 6 was. Regardless of whatever happened in the tournament from now on, winning the 5th day proved that they indeed had the potential to win the tournament. And this was already a victory beyond what anyone thought possible for Aki. In the end, Pererata Toisho would place 13th for the tournament day. Aki Rose had remained determined and patient all throughout the whole ordeal, over giving herself to it in the several weeks of intense fighting amidst FPS monsters and hardened veterans. If you compare her performance when she started to where she was now, it was a night and day difference. In the end, Aki Rose actually quite enjoyed the chaotic fighting. As for the team, Aki, Dito, Meika, and their coaches Mukai and Nachi, their bonds too solidified after having dedicated their hearts and souls into fighting their hardest. They were true comrades which experienced great hardship together, and further proof of how beautiful these competitive events really are. Aki Rose had proven that she could endure yet another unfamiliar tough environment. I mean, just look where we are right now. When I made the beginner's guide to Aki Rosenthal back in 2021, if you were to ask me if I even imagined we'd be seeing Aki Rose take this path, I'd call you crazy. I'm so glad that she did. And so time moved on. In September, Aki Rose participated in the VCR Minecraft and Hobo GTA events simultaneously. During the day, she would stream her humble fisherman life in VCR Minecraft. During the night, she would switch to Hobo GTA. And thanks to her previous expertise from the VCR GTA 2, Aki Rose was able to support other Hololive members during the Hobo GTA event as a member of Toa's gang, Milimon. Seriously, she learned so much from her Neo Police members. Though this was a Hololive exclusive event, she carried their experiences with Neo Police tenderly within her heart. Look at her using that ramp to evade their pursuers.
Where'd she go?
She went up! Oh, すごい!
She even bought the same type of car Neo Police bought her for her as a gift. In the VCR Minecraft, she met this Japanese streamer called Zuzu. He's a really funny guy with great musical skill. Zuzu often makes ringtones for other streamers which they use in GTA. He actually made a ringtone for Aki Rose to use in the Hobo GTA event. 2 versions in fact. One instrumental and one with his own vocals. The instrumental one was a safe one to use, but Aki was adamant in using the superior voiced version, much to Zuzu's concern.
俺の声入りをホロ GTA で流していいのかっていうその
After all, this would mean Zuzu would be the only male voice into all girls Hololive event.
まあでもやっぱズズさん、やっぱ輝いてるからそんなのも
もう運営さんとの相談ないんだよこれ。
もうめちゃくちゃ怖いのめちゃくちゃ怖いのよ
And man, you could tell Aki Rose was proud of her ringtone whenever it played in the Hobo GTA event.
どうもどうもちょっと電話来ちゃった電話来ちゃったもしもしもしもし
車回収の場所みたいなの
そうだねちょっとごめんねはいすいませんねすいませんね青くん聞いてもしもし鈴さん
どうだった大丈夫だったの大丈夫だった
ダメだった鈴さんごめん
ダメだった
嘘もう大炎上
やば
い嘘みんな何それ何かっこいいってなってたよ運営さんにも確認したしマネージャーさんとかにも確認したしみんな OK です全然問題ないですっていう感じだったよ
ほんまによかった
Fortunately, nothing came out of it, and Zuzu still had his head over his shoulders. October brought us a Shishiro Cup 2, and Aki Rose participated in the intermediate division, intended for platinum and diamond rank players. In spite of her lack of practice, her guile was still much stronger compared to the first time Aki participated in the first Shishiro Cup. She fought valiantly, but was defeated by Konkon Aria and then Yume no Akari. And I gotta highlight the moment where Laplace Darkness got emotional spectating Aki and Aria's match.
すごい秋さん頑張れ
レベル1の SA とかあとアムネジアを対策する動きです。
かり落ちるねっていうか、はい。
やばい、泣きそう。なんか大会見てると涙が出てくる。
結構考えて技振らない。
頑張ってみんな頑張って今日のために練習してきたんだろうなって思うとちょっとマジで。
She was really happy with how far Aki had come.
もうアキさんももう毎回長時間やって偉いよ。
いやそれは一緒よ。多分
いやいやそんなことないんだよ。頑張った我々頑張りましたよ。
いや頑張ったよ。
Now, with the year coming to an end, December brought the always beloved VCR GTA 3. Aki, now a regular face in JP events, returned, this time as a policewoman. Her driving skill was so much better, but was still very fun, causing hilarious deaths, typically involving helicopters.
ちょっと上がってダメやれなんでそうだよ。アルファさんなんで信じないの最後まで。地獄のメリーゴーランド助けて関さん。こっから出してください。して殺して救急
At the end of the event, the Neo Police members from VCR GTA 2 gathered for a nostalgic reunion. And all throughout this time, they still call their boss, even though she wasn't their boss anymore. To end 2024, Aki Rose teamed up with Dito and Kohaku for the Rakuten Esports Cup. And right off the bat from the moment the teams were announced, Dito and Kohaku were already at each other's throats on Twitter, fighting for Aki Rose's attention. And of course, the arguing continued mid-match too.
マジで移動しなければよかった。
言ったよね、コハクね。パスファインダーじゃないと無理じゃねって言ったよね。
はいはいはい、喧嘩はやめてね
こっちいるんだよな。
左でどう？
うるさい。うるさい。コハクがやろうとしてるのにこの際、ここドームがあるんだ。黙れないのか。
そうだよ。君がドームがあるから何待ってるの？
ドームがあるから君をここで起こそうとしたい。君は右とかよくわかんないことばかり。だから
もうまったくもうどっちが狂犬かわかんないよ。
頭が悪いんだあの人は。
That's what happens when RPR isn't around to take the aggro. Seriously, I love these two. Dito would end up winning the MVP award for the many times she resurrected Aki. In January of 2025, Neo Police gathered once again to attempt the Minecraft Hardcore Challenge. This time, they would succeed. And then in February of 2025, Aki Rose would team up with Alelu and Mikami-kon for the first time to compete in the Dito Cup. Surprisingly, Aki's team won 4 out of 5 matches, pretty much winning the cup. And finally, February 17th, 2025, it was Aki's birthday, where many of the people she met and collabed with participated in her birthday concert. She sang alongside Shirayuki Raid and Shibuya Hall, followed by all of the Neo Police appearing on stream. Dito, Meika, Mukai, and Nachi, her comrades from the time she fought at the Apex VSaikyo Season 6, also appeared. She sang alongside Benny, Choco, and Himawari, and so many more participated. Much has happened in Aki Rose's path, and there are no signs of it stopping. In fact, at the time of this video's making, Aki Rose recently participated in the intense first Street Fighter 6 VSaikyo tournament, and she is close to hitting Diamond rank as well. And I'm almost sure she will participate in the upcoming Shishiro Cup 3 as well. 2024 was a great year for Aki Rosenthal, and their channel grew a lot as a result. A year full of new meetings, great challenges, bitter defeats, glorious victories, solidified bonds of camaraderie. And now, with Aki Rosenthal so close to hitting 1 million subscribers in their channel, I will pull a Jimmy, the spokesperson for the Rose-tai, and ask you too to aid us in getting Aki to that milestone. Hope that this video may have shed some light on the wonderful VTuber that is Aki, and how much her fun trail has been. I cannot wait to see what other adventures Aki Rosenthal will embark on. Alona! Thank you for watching. Consider determinedly hitting the subscribe button, and definitely subscribe to Aki Rosenthal as well. Come join the Rose-tai!